Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 19 of All the Mods 3 Expert Mode. We've just recently gotten access to Tier 4 and I've taken a look at this, what's it called, Alchemistry mod, and I'll be honest, it's intimidating me. It has a lot of stuff going on for it in it, and I don't think I'm ready to tackle it yet. Not necessarily because we don't have the resources for it, but I mentally don't have the mental capacity, at least at the moment, to handle it. So I'm thinking I'll put that off. Now let's take a look at how our resources are doing. This is, more or less 1 day's worth of production. Looks pretty good. Is our drill any new items? Amber bearing stone. Ooh, this actually is really good. We haven't, or at least this is very rare in the overworld. I guess it's pretty rare from the drill too. But when you break this, there's a chance that it gives preserved knowledge, I think. So you know how you have to do that Thaumcraft mini game for knowledge bits and yada yada yada. No, nope, we didn't get any. A shame. Or wait, no, there it is. Preserved curiosities. Oh, we've gotten 2 before. Anyways, when you consume these, nom 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 nom, you see you gain some knowledge, and that'll make doing Thaumcraft easier. Alright, so as for what I want to do today, I want to go up to that Astral Sorcery platform and get Astral Sorcery things done. Right now I'm still using this jetpack to fly, except even with hover mode enabled, that's not my hover mode button. There we go. Even with hover mode enabled, I sink pretty quickly, so that's not very cool. My armor is pretty basic, so I would like to get into Astral Sorcery into their perk tree, which I don't think we can see yet. No, we have to do some stuff in attunement before we can actually even see the perk tree. But I would like to attune myself to the stars and get the benefits that come from that. Head on up. And I'm not actually sure where we left off. Let's see. I need to make a telescope, I think, so I can observe the stars. Redstone problems, be gone! We will have so much redstone now. Before making the telescope, you have to make the looking glass. You can use it as is, as a poor man's telescope. When you're looking at the sky, you're looking for regions of darker, or you're looking for the larger stars, I think. I don't know. It's really hard to use it. I prefer not to. Unless there's a crafting reason that you are able to upgrade to the telescope immediately, I much rather prefer the telescope because whenever this is done, haha, the telescope, when you place it down, it doesn't really have to go anywhere, but anywhere in particular, but it has very specific regions. And anyways, when you look at some of these regions, I think there's 8 per night. You see these little blinky stars. You have to play a game of connect the dots to make the constellations. I myself have done this enough times that I could mostly do it off memory, but if you look in your book, remember those papers I talked about earlier? These papers, they also show up in your constellation repertoire here. You can reference these. Your goal is to find initially anyways, all 5 of these in the night sky. So what I just found there was Visio, and I noticed there was at least one more. Basically, you see how some stars are large and blinking, and you look at some pages are the small blinking stars don't count. You're looking for the pages with large blinking stars, and then you want to connect these dots. So this constellation is, it's actually, I'm not sure on that one. I'm pretty sure that's a Vediist. Like this. Is that right? This doesn't look right to me. It's definitely not it. One second. It's totally Dissidia, which goes something like this. So I suppose I can't do these off memory yet, even after bragging about it. Shoot, it's one of these. Something like that. There we go. Anyways, you see that looks, oh no, there's a third one, but it's unlikely that you get them all in one night. So we can do our, sleep in a bed, make it day with the blood magic ritual, and then make a night trick to advance a day to find new stars in the sky, which is pretty nifty. Something like this, if I recall. Ha! Alright, so it looks like those are the only 3 constellations up tonight. We don't necessarily have to find them all to progress, but I'd like to. So, just go take a nap. For this part, having the sleep charm really helps, but alas, it's not in the pack, so can't do anything about that. Make it night, and then we get to look for a new set of stars. Nope, here's one. I don't even know what that is. Anyways, I'm just going to go through this until I've identified all 5 sets. Number 4. Aha. It doesn't look like the last constellation is up tonight. And last but not least, number 5. There we go. So now we've discovered all 5 of the basic constellations. We can now look in them, and there gives a bit more information about like the aspect that is associated with it, rituals, which we will do later. But now that we've discovered the constellations, let's put them to use. So I want to make a attunement altar. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Let's craft one of these. One of the components in the attunement altar, this spectral relay, is also used as part of the altar multi-block itself, and it uses these gold coins, which I guess throwing dirty coins in water has a 90% chance. What's the other 10%? Does it like dissolve because it was made of dirt? Well, whatever. My point is, I don't think I have enough coins. Yeah, it takes 2 each, and we need at least like 10, maybe not quite 10, 8 to somewhere between 8 to 10-ish of these spectral relays. So I can make the altar, but I don't think I can set it up, at least not immediately. The attunement altar needs to have a multi-block built around it, much like the whatever altar I'm standing on here, Starlight Crafting altar. However, the attunement altars is just absolutely massive. Whoopsies, not that one. Does it give its actual size? Yeah, 19 by 19 widest dimensions. But that's why I built this platform as big as it is. To help with building these large multi-blocks, just so you know where the blocks go, you can right-click a sextant on the central block, and it'll just like highlight, what blocks go where. Sextant has a secondary feature where if you look in the sky with it, it helps you locate. You see those, I can't point to with my cursor, but those 3 icons on the right side. I'm not exactly sure what color in the sky corresponds with what, but it has some effect of helping you locate those structures. I assume the gold color is the one in the middle. But it's like, if you're very early in the game, I mean, I don't know. The fact that you need to have found this, have a luminous crafting table to even make it, I feel like kind of defeats the purpose of this feature, but I don't know. If you find yourself particularly unable to find structures, I guess this can help. You know it's done when little particles start showing up. Aha. Now, we can't use it yet because, as I mentioned before, we need to gather a few more of those spectral relays. So I'm going to make another trip to Atom and see if I can find more gold coins. These come from this relic ore, which, by the way, seems to have a pretty neat loot table. But most of the things have like a super low drop chance. So we need some way to, I guess is use like some type of quarry thing to actually dig up a ridiculous amount of atom ore or relic ore before you actually get it. But what I'm going to do is just put the relic ore into my scanner and then use that to, look for dirty rings. All right, found our first 2 pieces, so I can add it to our scanner. And would you look at that? Some rings. Anyways, let's see how much of this stuff there is around. Oh, it's not that rare. It's just sometimes hidden behind, rocks and stuff. Make another dev null here to void all this extra. Is crack limestone what you get when you find this? Yeah. Void all this extra crack limestone. I have a feeling we won't need quite so much of it. And then we can get to our relic ore. All right. Well, you know, with any luck, maybe we'll even get some of those random, you know, the super weapons that can drop off this. One short trip later, I've gotten sufficient number of dirty things. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of the super rare equipment, but oh well. You know, you can't hope to get that lucky, right? Anyways, let's throw these in water. I don't know what these actually do in the, you know, atom mod. Oh dear, that's made a mess. But when you throw them in water, I guess you clean them off, and like there's different tier items. Looking at them though, they all are used the exact same way. Basically, like the only recipe that uses them is the Luminous Crafting Table, and it accepts any relic. So I don't know what the difference between all these is. But I don't know. Maybe if I actually like do things in the mod, there's a meaningful difference. All I'm after now are the gold coins anyways. So gold coins in hand. We can make more. What were those called? Spectral relays. That's what they are. So right now it's daytime, I think. Yep, it's daytime. It's raining, which is like the worst case scenario for Astro Sorcery. And we can see we still have a fair amount of starlight power, enough to actually do some of these, you know, more basic crafting recipes. In fact, even enough to do all 16 at a time. Now, this amount of starlight isn't enough to do everything, so it's still better to do stuff at night. You see, we make it nighttime and it's full. But what that means is we are now nearing the point where we can do most things without access to the night sky, which is pretty neat. Anyways, now that we have these spectral relays, if we pull our book out again, we can attune ourselves to one of the constellations by first attuning the altar to that constellation. Well, let me see, which one do I want? I want the one that's like flight and movement speed, Visio. All right, so we take the, whoops, that's not Visio. You take the Visio constellation paper, hold it in your offhand, and you will notice there are like blue glowy bits. You know what? I'm going to make the rain go away so it's a bit easier to see. Much better. Better to hear too. Anyways, you see these little blue glowy bits? You put one spectral relay on each. So this is why you need, you know, 8, 10-ish of them, depending on what constellation you're doing. And two possibilities. Either A, you put them in the wrong spot, or B, the constellation's not out today. And I suspect it's B, because I'm pretty sure I got the spots right. So let's take a look. What does Visio look like? That one. Yep. So if it's not out, you can't do anything. So just sleep and then make it nighttime again. Alright, looks like it is up tonight. There we go. So when it's functioning, you'll know it works because it does this thing. What you want to do to attune yourself, just walk into it. Aha! There's a cool little animation for like way too long. But when it's done, you will notice that you have gained additional powers. Soon. Of the 5 like starting constellations, I guess you could call them, each of them gives you like a different perk and a different way of earning experience. So think of well, right. All right. So anyways, when you look in your book after after attuning, let's start by putting this away. The first copy of each constellation paper is very easy to get. You just get it for picking up constellation paper. If you happen to lose it, subsequent copies are kind of hard to make because you have to actually craft them. So I recommend you don't lose your constellation papers. Anyways, did I cancel it on accident? Oh, I must have. Whoops. All right. Well, I guess that's my impatience at work. Let me wait through this process again. There you go, much better. When it works, you'll notice a perks tab shows up here in your thing, and then you get this crazy perk tree. So this tree gives you a bunch of abilities depending on what skill points you take. Right now I'm level 1, so I have 1 skill point. Which thing you attune yourself to determines your starting perk. So by taking Visio, I get +1 added reach and I gain experience by traveling the world. That is literally moving around. So we can see our EXP has gone up. I find this to be one of the easier ones to do because you move. I mean, what are you going to not move in Minecraft? Anyways, there's a couple other decent options. So Avedius gives you +2 to your maximum life, and you gain experience by building things. Divorcio gives you 20% mining speed and gain experience by breaking blocks. This is the other one that's pretty easy to level up, especially if you have Ore Excavator or like massive hammer type things in your pack. Decidia gives you crit chance and experience by dealing damage. And lastly, Amara gives you elemental resistance and gain experience by taking damage. So, with my skill point, you can only unlock points that are, adjacent to what you have. And you saw when I took it, my field of view changed ever so slightly. I think that's just the more zoom you go, the wider your field of view gets. Awkwardness in Minecraft. Anyways, my goal is to get to... Ooh, these are new. Nomcraft compat. Huh. Anyways, my goal is to get to this one. Your Visio Mantle now grants flight instead of elytra gliding, because that's creative flight. There's a few perks you can't actually see yet, namely these ones in the corner. To unlock those, I'm pretty sure what you have to do is, let's get more constellation paper. Now, remember before, when I picked up additional constellation paper, it didn't do anything. Now, when I grab one, it says you memorize the drawing of yada, yada, yada. When you attune yourself, you unlock access to the other constellations. There are, I think, 9 other ones. Let's see. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe that's all there is. There's basically primary constellations, which are the 5 we've had, secondary constellations, and tertiary ones. I think these 7 are just the secondaries. 1 second, let me look that up. All right, yeah, these 4 are these 7 are the secondary, or I guess you could call them. I'm sure there's a name in the book, but I call them secondary constellations. Basically, you cannot attune yourself to these. Like, they don't have a central node, but they represent, I think, the outer node. No, these 4 actually are the faint constellations, aren't they? Anyways, ignore my babbling for now. But my point is, you can attune, instead of attuning yourself to them, you can still attune crystals to them. Talking about attuning crystals, maybe this is a good time while I'm running around gaining experience, and pretty soon, in fact, you'll see, haha, we leveled up to level 2 by walking around. We can, while I'm gaining experience, I can set up a system to grow crystals. So right now, if you see, let's see, crystal. You see these rock crystals that we have? We only have a handful, but they don't have very great stats. And they're also rock crystals and not celestial crystals. So we can grow these into celestial crystals with a little bit of work. First of all, let me see how much rock crystal ore we've gotten. I was waiting for that earlier because it takes a lot of liquid starlight to really make this process work. And the only way to get, well, the best way to get liquid starlight is by melting down rock crystal ore. 74, is that the right one? No, that's regular quartz ore. 38. Well, I was hoping for more, but here, let's put white lenses into our laser drill to try to get more of this stuff. I want white lens, so doesn't look that bad. The laser drill has room for up to 6 lenses, so I guess I'll use all 6. I think the more you put in, the more like targeted you get towards any specific resource. So now, no, we didn't get it that time, but rock crystal ore normally has a weight of 1, so it's pretty rare. In fact, you probably saw it's one of the ones we had the absolute least of. But with white lenses, it'll still be rare, but it'll be less rare, I guess. The white lens also, hey, look at that, there's one already. Haha. The white lens also increases the odds of a couple other things like biomessence ore, quartz iridium, dimensional shard. I don't think we get this one here. More dimensional shard, more quartz ore. But anyways, yeah. Wow, all of these ores are actually pretty rare to begin with. So I guess white looks like a pretty decent lens to use. Anyways, this rock crystal ore, it's not a lot, but like each one when you break it gives, 4 crystals. So it's actually quite a few crystals in disguise. The other pretty useful ore that comes out of this thing is aquamarine shale. We don't need quite as much aquamarine, so these 38 pieces is probably enough. We can get 2, we can get 6 from a pulverizer. I don't think Fortune beats that. Let's crack open a rock crystal ore and see how much we get out of it. Lots of lights. Well, more than one crate apparently. Alright, so yeah, crate and a half, or that's not a half, a hair over one crate of rock crystals. We'll need more than this eventually, but this is a good starting point for now. So as I was mentioning before, we'll use those rock crystals in these light wells to melt them down into liquid starlight. So let me set up a nice large system of, how many light wells do I have? 5? Oh, I guess I'll make a 6th one, and we'll use 6 light wells to melt our starlight. The process of putting items into light wells has to be done by clicking onto it. As far as I can tell, you can't use hoppers. Like, that doesn't work, and it doesn't work on the sides either. So, to support that, I'm going to use a mechanical user. And because we have to click on 6 different ones, instead of making 6 mechanical users, I'm just going to make 1 ender porcupine. And basically what this can do is, in fact, I'll just show you. So when you set, let's see, where do I want this? We have room here. The ender porcupine, you can specify a range of blocks. So Y definitely up 1. Is that the right axis? Yep. And then when you hover over it, you can like faintly see the outline of what blocks it's affecting. So if you see right now, it's selecting those 6 blocks. Any like mechanical user or other similar block from extra utilities that interacts with the ender porcupine will in turn go through the 6 light wells. Basically, once a second, it changes what block it's interacting with, and it'll go through all 6 of them. Also, why is it always raining in my world? Go away, rain. Alright, so the setting for your mechanical user has to be activate block with item, and it will in turn go and put your crystals into each of the light wells. Pretty cool. Then you have to extract the fluid from them. I'm going to use transfer nodes for this. I also built these in a way that makes it maximally difficult for me to actually place my transfer nodes. Oh god. Nope, that's not where I wanted it. Alright, I'm going to need to come up with a plan B. Much better. Now I can I put a solid block there to stand on. Actually stand on a solid surface while placing blocks. When I have full creative flight, this will no longer be a problem. Cool. So then I just have to dump that into an appropriate tank. I want a very large tank, but I don't really have access to good large tanks. I assume these are out of reach, right? Yeah, don't even see the recipes. Oh, what about drums? Can I make the... Let's see, iron drum is 256 buckets. Can do that. I can go... Okay, let's make the demonically large drum then to hold our starlight. Basically, you want a large backlog on this, and then... Yeah, because you use a lot of it. It's been a while since we've had to use our, what is this, industrial chiller, but I need more cold iron. Now that I have an easy source of iron ore, though, iron ingots aren't a problem either. Anyways, I want to take a second to show the power of this, of the lenses. You see, we already have 5 more rock crystal ore out of maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes of production from the laser. Whereas before it took it, you know, the better part of a full day to produce 30 odd pieces. So yeah, if there's something very specific you want out of the laser drill, the colored lenses go a long ways to increase your yield of that. Of course, nothing is free in life, right? By getting more of like this and other stuff like dimensional shard ore, we get less of the other resources. But end of the day, like 1 rock crystal ore is, you know, a lot more valuable than our 1000th piece of coal ore. And in fact, I might even need to start putting upgrades on some of these that are getting almost full, like the coal. But anyways, I think I've killed enough time that this should be nearing completion. Yep. So, drum upgrades. Iron drum. So this is 256 buckets. Reinforced large drum. This is 4,000 something buckets. 4,096, I think. And demonically gargantuan drum. This is a absolutely bonkers number of buckets. It's not going to tell me. If I put 1 bucket of something, it'll tell me the limit. There we go. 65,000 buckets is its limit. That's a lot of buckets. Alright, so our drum is slowly filling with liquid starlight. In theory, we can set up a system where, like, if the drum gets over a certain amount of fullness, apply a redstone signal to, you know, turn off the mechanical user. But realistically speaking, we're going to run out of rock crystals far before we run out of space in the drum. So I'm not, you know, I'm not realistically concerned about that use case. Cool. Now that we have this liquid starlight, though, let's put it to use. So what you can do to grow rock crystals per se is if you, here, I'm going to set up a demonstration right here, I guess. If you take a rock crystal and a piece of stardust, throw them into a, I have to take my magnet off for this, don't I? Throw them into a block that has, I don't have an empty reservoir. Darn it. Give me an empty reservoir. Alright, throw it into a block that has, fill my reservoir, would you? Jeez. A bucket of liquid starlight in it. And then wait a couple seconds. You see those particles? This takes, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds. It'll become, wait for it. Aha, a celestial crystal cluster. So this will grow over time. If you look at it, you see on the right side, just at like the tip of my reservoir, it says metadata, serialized as metadata or stage. You're waiting for that number to be 3. It'll also look different. It's quite clear when it's actually done growing. So our goal is to grow a bunch of these celestial crystals. They pop out with random stats, so we'll need to grow a fair number to get some that have good stats. And then from there, we can further refine their stats. So, by the way, see, just from like moving around while building these things, I've already gotten to level 12 in my perks. So that's why I like to start Visio, because it's very easy to level up. Anyways, I'll place my perk points later. For now, I'm going to fill in each of these with liquid starlight and then throw a crystal in. This crystal growing process is quite slow, so do yourself a favor, start it reasonably early and do something else while you wait. It's, in fact, I think some of these may be stage 1. Yeah, if you look, that one's stage 1. But overall, it probably takes hour, half an hour average for these to grow. So while these grow, we'll go work on something else. All right, let's go back to the perks then. I put most of my points in, I guess all the ones I have so far. We are almost at Spectral Wings. However, even taking the perk down doesn't do anything because we don't have a Visio Mantle. So I think our next goal is to get to that. By the way, there's a lot of movement speed increases along the way. I think this can tell you. Let's see, movement speed 14. So I assume that means 14%. Oh, I see. So B, I think, is base movement speed increase. A is additive. I is, I don't know, some type of multiplicative, and M is also multiplicative. So these that say, wait, 5% increased. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it counts. Basically, it's, my net effect is I think I have plus 14% movement speed, but the sum of all these, they're multiplicative with something. So I guess I want plus increased movement speed instead. I don't know where I even get that from. Whatever, I'm not going to sweat it too much. I like the increased movement speed. I dislike the fact that it messes with your FOV. I know if you install Optifine, you can, Optifine has a feature where you can disable that, and I may do so at a later time. Anyways, as I was saying, we're going to need a Visio Mantle in order to use the Visio Mantle perk. So let's see about getting to build that. First of all, we have to upgrade our crafting altar. So right now we are at the Starlight crafting altar tier. We have to get to the Iridescent tier. I'm going to take a quick look to make sure there's no blockers in here. Okay, there aren't. Good. So upgrading to the Celestial Altar is pretty easy. We just have to craft it. It'll, replace the Starlight Crafting Altar with the Celestial Altar, which also takes a larger multi-block. Now, the structure around it here, because it's going to get significantly larger, I think I'm going to have to actually move it because we kind of encroached on it a bit. Wow, this is very laggy. I'm not quite sure what's causing it. Anyways, but moving it, off to the right and expanding our platform isn't terribly difficult, right? I'm almost curious if we have enough starlight to do this upgrade during the day. Doesn't look like it. It would show the thing if we did. So I guess we have to make it nighttime. Not that that's a terribly difficult prospect. Aha. Oh, something wrong with my recipe? Why doesn't it? I'm gonna just try and see what it does. Oh, it crafts. I guess because it, wait, there it is. Oh, I don't know why I didn't show it before. Whatever. When it's done, you'll notice, well, whatever. Yeah, just, we'll wait till it's done. Actually, while that crafts, you can hear/see it in the background. We can apparently not look for stars in the night sky. Never mind. I don't know what causes this bug. Every now and then you just have, like, nights just don't have stars in them. When that happens, I think relogging might fix it, or just advancing to the next day. I don't want to do that right now because that'll cancel my craft. My plan was to look for the secondary constellations in the sky, but sounds like it's done. You see your vision expands, yada, yada, yada. And now this is a red bar. We have a larger crafting table, but this is a red bar because we need more blocks. I'm going to actually take a quick look to see what the structure for the next tier one is. Maybe I don't have to actually move anything. Maybe, because I think the iridescent altar only adds blocks high up in the sky. So it looks like actually while these two do encroach on each other, there is enough room for them both. All right, there we go. Structure's done. We see that we now don't have full starlight for this altar, even during the day. Or sorry, during the night. What that means is that we have to explore ways to generate additional starlight. Thankfully, one of them is very easy, so let's start with that. I'm going to expand the platform a little bit. No, I think there is enough room here, isn't there? I'll just slip it in right here. We can build a miniature little starlight collector. It's just this little 3x3 structure. Put a spectral lens in it, and you see it like starts glowing. I thought I had to even link it, but apparently you don't. It just becomes linked. Maybe I do have to link it? Link you to you. Does that do something? Maybe it's not full because the night's passing. Let me make it night again. If you don't sleep, it makes it the same night again. I was expecting this to provide a bit more starlight. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. No, it seems to be working. It is producing a little bit more starlight, and in fact, very early in the night, because I guess like the moon isn't all the way up or whatever, you don't quite get the full amount. So anyways, as we reach like it's not even midnight yet, but late, I guess it technically is midnight according to the clock, but we are able to now fill up 100% of this bar. Anyways, the Celestial Altar unlocks more recipes, but I want to get all the way up to the Iridescent Altar unlocks more bars, but I want to get all the way up to the Celestial Altar. So to do so, we need to make resonating gems and I guess any celestial crystal will do. All right, resonating gems are made in the Starlight Infusion. So let's make this block. Doesn't look too bad, and its corresponding, structure. There we go, one Starlight Infuser, but I went and looked at the time, and I think we're already out of time for today. So, let's really quick check these. Some of these appear to be done. The ones that are stage 4 are done, and you see that they have like little white particles coming off of them. But I'm just going to wait for these all to finish and harvest them all at once. So anyways, we'll come back tomorrow, set up our Starlight Infuser, and do the rest of the cool astral sorcery stuff. In an event, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know those of you that have watched my series before probably find this a little repetitive because astral sorcery can be at times, but I still love the mod nonetheless. In any event, I do hope to see you tomorrow as we wrap all this up. Take care. Bye-bye.